Look, this isn't about snagging a championship next season. It's about setting a direction, developing talent, and building genuine belief in what's possible. The first year establishes the culture. Year 2, that's when you start building real momentum. By year 3, you're knocking on championship doors. But here's the thing, that whole timeline falls apart if you don't get the foundation right from day one. This decision is going to make or break Andrew Berry's reputation. He didn't bring in the current coaching staff. This hire is all on him. Pass on Harbaugh and blow it, that label sticks forever. But land him, get the quarterback situation figured out, and suddenly the entire story flips overnight. So here's what happened. Late last night, the Baltimore Ravens decided to part ways with their longtime head coach, John Harbaugh. Yeah, the Super Bowl champion who's been consistently winning for years. The internet absolutely lost its mind. Within 45 minutes of the news breaking, his agent was fielding calls from teams all over the league wanting to set up interviews. Now, Browns fans know other teams are circling. The Raiders, Jets, and Saints will all come calling with money, control, and flexibility. But Cleveland's got something none of those franchises can fake. This is home. This is legacy. This is the opportunity to be the guy who finally delivers what generations of fans have been desperately waiting for. But the pitch has to be genuine. We're talking real resources, actual commitment, bold moves. That means not getting cute with the quarterback situation. Landing Harbaugh but missing on Shedeur Sanders, that would be absolutely catastrophic. These moves need to line up perfectly. I don't care what it takes, Jimmy Haslam. Go get John Harbaugh. To me, he's the perfect fit for this job. And now he's actually available. Since taking over in Baltimore back in 2008, man, I was still in high school, he's been a pillar of NFL coaching. Sure, his time ran out there. They chose Lamar Jackson over him, and honestly, that's fair. But make no mistake, Harbaugh is the coach who can get Cleveland back on track. There's even a Cleveland connection. His family's from the area. His brother Jim, well, rumor has it, his first date or honeymoon with his wife had Cleveland ties. This is destiny knocking. This is the moment to go all in. Give Harbaugh real input on personnel decisions. Trade up in the draft if you have to. Mortgage your comfort for conviction. An elite coach paired with the right quarterback, that's the formula that transforms franchises. Because if Cleveland doesn't pull this off, we'll be right back here in a couple years with another rebuild, another explanation, another offseason full of what ifs. This fan base deserves way better than that. Yesterday, we talked about John Harbaugh, just like everyone's talking about Mike Tomlin. But I felt like John Harbaugh was the real hot-button issue over Mike Tomlin. And those conversations will obviously happen. Todd Bowles is another name. Like I said, maybe I mentioned him before. I was told they don't want to make a change, but I was told that about Jonathan Gannon too. And a change came. Raheem Morris is out. So these things are fluid, but you get an idea of who's on the hot seat. The pressure is crushing right now on Haslam, on Berry, on the whole organization. Don't blink, don't hesitate, don't overthink the obvious answer sitting right in front of you. Bring John Harbaugh home, build around Shedeur Sanders, and finally give Cleveland something real to believe in. The rumors aren't just swirling, they're detonating. And when the league starts buzzing this loudly, it usually means something seismic is already in motion. Around NFL circles, the quiet talk is that Jimmy Haslam is preparing a full-court press, record-setting money on the table to lure John Harbaugh to Cleveland with Shedeur Sanders as the long-term centerpiece. And Browns fans can feel it in their chest. This doesn't feel like smoke. It feels like the ground shifting. So John Harbaugh was just fired by the Baltimore Ravens, meaning we now have 7 different head coach openings around the NFL. Here's how I would rank each destination and who I think will get each job. It's really dark in Arizona, dude. I mean, I'm using a photo of Kyler Murray, but he's not going to be there next year. They have the 3rd pick in a 2-quarterback draft. Bringing back Vance Joseph honestly makes a lot of sense. You could argue the Browns should be hired because of how talented that defense is and because they crushed it with their rookie class. But it's still the Browns. They still don't have a quarterback, and they're still paying Deshaun Watson $80 million next year. Late last night, everything changed. The moment Baltimore officially moved on from John Harbaugh, a Super Bowl winning coach with nearly 2 decades of sustained success, the market snapped to attention. Within minutes, the internet called caught fire. Within moments, he became the most valuable coaching free agent in football. In Cleveland, they felt the shockwave immediately. I can't give you an exact dollar amount, and honestly, the number almost doesn't matter. What matters is this: John Harbaugh is available right now. Opportunities like this don't cycle back around. They appear once, maybe twice in a generation, and franchises either recognize the moment or regret it for the next 10 years. All right, so the Cleveland Browns head coaching search is underway. Andrew Berry spoke to the media a few days ago and said it right then and there. The coaching search will start as soon as this interview ends. Per multiple reports, the Cleveland Browns have reached out to Todd Monken, who is the offensive coordinator of the Baltimore Ravens, and Ejiro Evero, who is the defensive coordinator for the Seattle Seahawks. Little backdrop, little backstory on Ejiro Evero real quick. This isn't just another respected name entering the carousel. This is a pillar of modern NFL coaching. Since 2008, Harbaugh has been a constant, a stabilizer, a winner. Time eventually runs out for everyone in one place, and Baltimore chose change. That doesn't diminish his value. It amplifies it for everyone else watching. Here's where Cleveland's urgency should spike. This is not about theory or potential. This is about proven infrastructure. Harbaugh has navigated quarterback transitions, roster turnover, injuries, and playoff pressure. He's done it all repeatedly, and that experience is exactly what this moment demands. That changed everything. We don't know what would have happened after the playoff run. Maybe they would have decided to stay together for another year, but if that field goal is good, the Ravens are currently getting ready to host the Texans on Monday night. They're not thinking about who their next coach is going to be. And John Harbaugh is not in a position where he now has to consider what his options are. And in 18 years, more often than not, the Ravens contended. They made the playoffs 12 different times. They won Super Bowl 47. And it was in December of 2012 that John Harbaugh made what was a gutsy decision at the time. The emotional pull is real too, and it matters more than people admit. Harbaugh isn't just familiar with Cleveland, he's connected to it. Toledo-born, a mother from East Cleveland, a family history tied to the Browns. This isn't a rental scenario. This is a homecoming narrative with real substance behind it. When you stack the resume, it speaks loudly. A Super Bowl ring, 12 playoff appearances, 4 AFC championship games, a career record that reflects consistency, not flashes. This is the type of coach franchises build statues for, not gamble on replacing with the next trendy name. I appreciate you having a thermometer on everybody's backside around the NFL, especially this time of year. And we're talking about coaches and assistant coaches and families. So it does suck, but it is the business and they sign up for it. They understand what it is. Jonathan Gannon obviously announced he's out. Shane Steichen, you mentioned you were leaning towards safe yesterday. Carly Ursay is going to have a press conference at 2:30. What do you think she's going to be saying about keeping Shane Steichen and Chris Ballard? Because obviously those are a couple massive moves for new ownership here. Well, Pat, you texted me yesterday, right? You said, if I could take people behind the curtain, what do you think? I said, I think they're both safe. And make no mistake, league insiders noticed immediately. Conversations that were once hypothetical became urgent. Boards were redrawn, priorities shifted. Teams that thought they had time suddenly realized the clock just sped up dramatically. For Cleveland, the question isn't whether they should be interested. That's obvious. The real question is whether they're willing to act with conviction. We've seen this organization hesitate before. We've seen them overthink. And hesitation in moments like this can derail an entire rebuild before it even takes shape. They may not be on the fence any longer if there's a way to reasonably become confident that John Harbaugh would accept an offer if it were extended for him to become the next coach of that team. He's going to land somewhere if he wants to. Maybe he wants to take a year off. Maybe he wants to do TV. Maybe he just wants to have an opportunity. Remember when Mike McCarthy was let go by the Packers? He took a full year. He put his staff together. He was ready to go when the Cowboys came calling. Now, about Shedeur Sanders and why NFL owners are quietly freaking out. NFL owners are losing their minds right now, and it has nothing to do with playbooks, depth charts, or what's happening on Sundays. This panic is about money, power, and control. Nike just handed Shedeur Sanders a deal that makes fifth-round quarterbacks look like first-round royalty. Let that sink in. While most late-round rookies are praying for practice reps and fighting just to make the roster, Shedeur is stepping into signature sneakers, player-exclusive colorways, and a marketing rollout that feels massive. This isn't a small endorsement either. This is the kind of treatment usually reserved for generational stars, the LeBron James tier of athletes. I hear what all y'all saying. My name is Willie. Will he be mine? Hey, he's the real deal. That's coming from Willie. That's coming from what? Hey, now how y'all feel now? How y'all feel now? No matter what he does, how you feel now, that man's playing for his daddy. All you haters. If you hate Shedeur, you hate football. How can you not love that story? Deion Sanders, absolute legend, icon, now his son, picking up the pace. And that's exactly why the league is heated. The old guard inside the NFL is furious. A fifth-round pick isn't supposed to move like this. He isn't supposed to be visible. He isn't supposed to command attention before ever taking a real NFL snap. But here we are, and Shedeur is breaking every unspoken rule the league lives by. A single Instagram post is what started the fire. Coach Prime shared a photo that most fans probably scrolled past without thinking twice, but if you really looked, the message was loud. On the back of unreleased Nike cleats sat one word that changed the entire conversation: legendary. Not famous, not up next, legendary. That word alone told the entire story. Nike wasn't hinting. They weren't testing the waters. They were planting a flag. Take a second and think about this. Name one quarterback taken in the 5th round who received Player Edition sneakers in his 2nd year. Go ahead. You can't. Because it has never happened in NFL history. That's why executives in luxury suites are staring at their phones right now, upset and uncomfortable. This isn't about shoes. This is about hierarchy. This is about a system that expects rookies to stay quiet, wait their turn, and accept whatever role they're given. Shedeur Sanders refuses to play that game. Here's the part the league really hates. This Nike deal didn't come together after the draft. It wasn't some late scramble once his name fell to the 5th round. Nike locked him in before draft night, before the slide, before the noise, before the criticism. Everyone expected Shedeur to go top 10, maybe top 15. Nike believed that too. And when draft night didn't go as planned, they didn't flinch. They didn't renegotiate. They didn't back away. They didn't change the terms. Even when the criticism hit its peak, Nike stood firm. That alone tells you how much faith they have in Shedeur Sanders. The league may hate it, but the message is clear. They didn't just dip a toe in, they went all in. And it's not just Nike either. Congratulations on the amazing season. Heisman Trophy winning season vibe you on. And most definitely, I can't wait to rock these. Bam. Gatorade is in the picture too. Take a second to really process that. A 5th round quarterback walking into the league already backed by Nike and Gatorade. Do you know who usually gets deals like that? LeBron James, Caitlin Clark, athletes who don't just dominate their sport, but redefine it. Global names, cultural forces, faces of entire generations. That's the lane Shedeur Sanders is standing in right now. And here's the wild part. He hasn't even completed a full NFL season yet. Sources close to the situation are clear about one thing. These aren't potential deals. These aren't let's see how it goes endorsements. These are contracts reserved for the absolute elite, not good athletes, not promising prospects, the best of the best. Meanwhile, players drafted 50 spots ahead of Shedeur are still hoping for a local car dealership commercial. Some of them can't even get a shoebox with their name on it, and yet Nike is pouring real money into Shedeur, blasting him across social media, designing exclusive player-only cleats, and even weaving his personal slogans into warm-ups and pre-game moments. That's not normal. That's priority treatment. Shedeur has been rocking Nike Air DT96 cleats in Cleveland Browns colorways that the public can't even buy. Player-only access. Each pair includes handwritten notes stitched directly into the design. That's personal. That's intentional. Now let's talk about the shoes themselves. And yeah, let's be honest, they're not pretty. These are the Nike Air DT Max 96 Low in the colorway Nike calls legendary. Loud, bold, almost uncomfortable to look at, but that's the point. These are built off Coach Prime's iconic signature line, but Shedeur added his own twist. Different purple tones, glossy finishes, and the detail that drives executives crazy. The branding on the heel flipped upside down. When it's upright, it's just a logo. When it's upside down, everyone knows exactly who's wearing them. You don't got these? I do. How you get the Colorado team, you feel me? I got you. Okay, nothing crazy. I got something you ain't never seen before. Yeah, bro. Like 90% of these shoes I probably would never wear. Oh, who's going to wear Jordans again, bro? And your daddy got his own shoe. Exactly. Mine coming soon. Legendary's coming soon. It's branding with attitude, branding with intent. Coach Prime has already proven his signature line works. Some even call him the Michael Jordan of football sneakers. His shoes sell out, spark conversation, and feel bigger than the sport itself. But here's the uncomfortable truth for the league. Outside of Michael Vick, can you name another NFL player whose signature shoes truly move culture? You can't, because football doesn't dominate sneaker culture. Basketball does, always has. And yet, Nike believes Shedeur Sanders is about to disrupt that entire reality. Why are they so confident? Because they've studied the data. They've tracked the social engagement. They've watched how Shedeur controls attention in ways box scores can't explain. You can't teach this. You can't coach it. You can't measure it by draft position. Even Sports Illustrated broke it down plainly. The report stated that Nike has heavily invested in Shedeur Sanders. Let that phrase sit for a moment. Heavily invested. They've already taken it further than most people realize. Player-only cleats in Cleveland Browns, colors during practice, special editions just for warm-ups, Nike even leaning into Shedeur's famous sayings and turning them into part of the visual identity. This is not a small endorsement where a box shows up and you hope they wear the product. This is a full-scale marketing machine built around a fifth-round quarterback. And this is exactly where things start to boil over. This is the moment NFL owners start sweating. Because if Nike can turn a fifth-round pick into a sneaker-driving headline, what does that say about the draft itself? What does it say about the millions teams pour into scouting departments, analytics rooms, and front office evaluations? If value can be this wrong, then the system isn't as sharp as they pretend it is. In NFL terms, this looks bad. It says the draft process failed. It says 31 teams passed on Shedeur Sanders multiple times. And Nike, a company whose entire business model is built on identifying stars before the world catches on, saw something the league didn't. That part matters. And let's clear this up properly. Shedeur signed these endorsement deals before draft night. Nobody expected him to be available in the fifth round. At worst, people thought maybe late second if teams really wanted to make a statement. But what happened went way beyond skepticism. The slide wasn't normal. The criticism wasn't normal. The reaction was louder than anything we've seen for a quarterback with his resume. And yet, even as his draft stock dropped, Nike never flinched. That tells you everything. If you pull it up on Google, Sports Illustrated has already pointed out that Deion Sanders and Shedeur are going to dominate headlines for a long time. And when you look at the timing, it makes the situation even crazier. This past season was flooded with noise. Headlines about Shedeur not getting first-team reps, the reported tension with Kevin Stefanski, the Deshaun Watson quarterback discussion in Cleveland, and of course, the shockwave moment that changed everything. Falling to the fifth round when almost everyone expected him to go much higher. That's a lot for any rookie to deal with. Doubt, criticism, constant commentary. And through all of it, Nike didn't hesitate. They didn't pause campaigns. They didn't rewrite contracts. They stayed locked in. Why? Because they know something the critics don't. They know Shedeur Sanders isn't built like the average prospect. They know his impact can't be measured by draft position alone. And they are willing to bet millions of dollars that when the lights are brightest, he'll deliver. Now, let's talk about what's coming next, because this is where it really turns up. April is when the next releases hit. Black player-only sneakers featuring Shedeur's own logo, not Coach Prime's. Ice blue soles that stand out instantly. Cold, clean, unmistakable. These are not recycled designs. These aren't just his dad's shoes in a new color. These are Shedeur Sanders' signature pieces. And the timing is intentional. These drops line up perfectly with off-season workouts. When Shedeur is grinding to prove every critic wrong, every rep matters. Every clip gets watched. Every appearance feeds the brand. And here's one detail flying under the radar. There are strong rumors that Shedeur could switch back to number 2, the same number he wore at Colorado, the same number that became part of his identity. Those number 12 Cleveland Browns jerseys people already bought, they might quietly turn into vintage collector items, and Nike knows it. That's why they're already planning the second jersey rollout, new sneaker colorways, and a full rebrand roadmap before most fans even realize what's happening. But here's the truth. The shoes aren't the real issue. What has NFL owners upset isn't leather, rubber, or colorways. It's power. The balance is shifting, and everyone at the top can feel it. This is about players controlling their own narrative. It's about athletes no longer waiting for teams to crown them before they build value. The old guard, the people who've shaped football for decades, are realizing something uncomfortable. Their approval doesn't mean what it used to. Shedeur Sanders didn't wait for the Browns to name him a starter. He didn't wait for league-produced highlights or prime-time slots. He didn't ask for permission. He performed at a high level in college. He built a massive fan base organically. And he caught the attention of Nike, the most powerful sports brand on the planet. And he did it on his timeline, not the league's. That scares people, because if a player can build an empire regardless of draft slot or snap count, then what leverage do teams really have? How do you control someone who doesn't rely on you for relevance? How do you discipline a player who's already making millions off the field before he ever steps onto yours? You don't. And that's the core of this whole situation. Now let's address the backlash head on, because it's coming. People are saying Shedeur is too popular. Others say he doesn't deserve this. Some even claim Nike is making a mistake. Here's the real question. When has Nike ever been wrong about identifying marketable greatness? This company built its empire by being early. They signed Michael Jordan when he was just a rookie. They invested in LeBron James before he ever played a professional minute. They believed in Kobe Bryant long before the world called him Kobe. Nike doesn't guess. They forecast. So instead of questioning Shedeur Sanders, maybe the smarter move is questioning the 31 NFL teams that passed on him. Nike's track record speaks loud enough, and if they're committing signature shoes, player-only exclusives, and a full-scale marketing campaign, that tells you they see something rare, something special. Now, let's talk visuals for a second, because even the details are loud. These player-only sneakers are cold. Black uppers, ice blue bottoms, legendary, stamped across the back like a promise, not a slogan. And yes, these are set to release in April. The Shedeur logo is right there, front and center, not hidden, not secondary. There's also buzz, real buzz, that Shedeur could switch back to number 2, the same number he wore at Colorado, the number that became part of his identity. If that happens, it completes the branding loop completely. Number, logo, shoes, message. Nike is saying something very clearly with all of this. Talent doesn't care where you're drafted. Stars aren't chosen by order. They're revealed over time. People close to the situation say Shedeur has something that can't be measured by combine drills or pro day numbers, something scouts can't chart, and Nike isn't just talking about it.